What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Checkup Podcast featuring myself, Armani Jackson, and my co-host, Alex. Alex, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing good. Good to be here, man. It's good to see you again. Another crazy week in the NBA, so I'm glad to be here to talk about it.
Yeah, we got a lot of news to cover this week, you guys. Diving right in, Alex. With Kevin Durant's dismissal from the game last week, what you think about that, man?
I think that sometimes when you're trying to take care of a league and players and make sure everyone's safe, you can kind of have a tendency to go overboard, and you try to want to please too many people at the same time. And so obviously they knew that Kevin Durant had been with somebody. They tested both of them prior to the game. Kevin Durant tested negative, and they told him they were going to not put him in the game. But obviously he tested negative, so they're okay, fine, we'll let you run. And then during the game, the person who he was with, who he had in contact with, tested positive. So then they pulled Kevin Durant out of the game. My thing is, if the guys, I understand that some people can test negative, and it's still a thing. So I understand they have to remove. He needs to be sat out or whatever. I just don't think that makes a larger difference. Taking him out of the game mid-game. He'd already been in game, touched the same balls as everyone else. Pause. Dapped players up. He's running, guarding people for at least half a game at that point.
Right.
So, did you really diminish the impact of that? That's what I really wonder, and what I want to know, because I understand the whole, you wanted to eliminate the possibility, but if you already allowed it to happen by allowing him to play, then you might as well just let him finish the game and then sit him out for X amount of games at that point, because he's already in the game.
Yeah, but the thing too, I thought about, so if Kevin Durant was in contact with the guy that tested positive for COVID that was close on the staff, and Kevin Durant was just in the face of every single person on his team, his coaching staff, the trainers, and then the opposing team as well, it makes you think, wouldn't you want to just postpone that game, or even go into an alternative route of I don't know, just like I said, postpone the game. Like James Harden, in the presser after the game, he was so confused and distraught. He was like, well, I mean, Kevin Durant's already tested positive for COVID months back. He already has antibodies. This is Harden's words. And then the fact about it was that, if that was the case, we should have just canceled the game because he was surrounded by all of us, So, I mean, it's just a ridiculous, piece of worms, bro. I don't know.
I just think that, that it's such a difficult thing to do. I think that the NBA has done such a great job of running a league amidst a time where, there is a global pandemic.
Right.
But sometimes I think you just have to make a smart decision. And just make, and sometimes the simple one is the best one. Making things overly complicated, because now you've got a team who had game planned around having Kevin Durant in the game plan, players who knew KD was playing, who obviously weren't notified that KD was no longer going to be playing because they just told KD, hey, yo, KD, you can't play no more. And then now KD has to sit out for, I think it's another 10 games.
Friday.
Till Friday. Which is another 5 or so games he's missed on top of the 10 days he missed the last time he had to sit out for contract tracing. Kevin Durant's had to miss quite a few games this year, just because of the possibility of being, COVID positive. So, it's very tough. I understand that they have to do these things, but I think that if you're gonna be stern and you're gonna call and you're gonna take at the end of the day, don't let him play then. Play it safe, play it the first time, and then if he turns out to be positive, congratulations, you just avoided something. But if he doesn't, and you say, oh, you were negative, but we're not really sure, but just go ahead and play. And then what happens if he turns out positive again? Then you've got an entire game, an entire staff, two entire teams that are now out of, So I think that there's better things that they could do, planning and decision making on their side. But for a whole, the NBA has done a great job. I don't want to nitpick and critique on little decisions, because you can't make every decision, especially when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar organization. You can't make every decision perfectly. You're bound to make some that aren't going to be perfect, but they've done a pretty good job.
That's true. And I believe too, like I feel like the narrative's kind of been lately is like everybody's trying to attack Adam Silver, with the aspect of, okay, is the league's PR, like the public relations group, are they trying to do this to, get attraction or to get like attention? But like I really personally feel that the NBA, they care about their players and their safety, obviously. Yes, they do have financial obligations that they do need to make, obviously, with companies like Turner Network, and then you got ESPN, and then the local broadcasting companies that televise NBA games. So the highest priority is to meet those financial obligations, because if we look back going into the bubble season and then going forward in the season, they said, well, if we don't have a season starting soon, we're going to be losing out on a crap ton of money. So their priority is to have their athletes out there and the players out there in order to play, so fans can enjoy it in any way possible. I mean, we're slowly starting to see fans are starting to be entered into games at a certain amount of capacity in certain states. So I mean, that's a good thing. I heard the Suns have their fans, a couple other teams as well. So it's a good sight. Another important topic that I was looking at this past week, I was seeing about with the NBA All-Star game. And it seems like a lot of players aren't really interested and intrigued by it. Not mainly because it's another All-Star game or it's a selection, but I think it's more so the fact of, the season and how abruptly, like, the Los Angeles Lakers just came off of a championship run. Miami Heat just came off a championship run. Now you're trying to get these teams, oh, hey, we're going to have a shortened season, but at the same time, we're still going to have All-Star game March 7th in Atlanta, Georgia, in a really compacted place where COVID, like test positive, like the peak and stuff is pretty high. Regarding like safety wise and the stability of the player, like how do you feel?
I feel like my main gripe with the All-Star game is if you're gonna have players from all different teams all come to one place, coaches all come to one place who are all not positive, right? So you're rolling a gauntlet already by bringing them there. My thing is that you then involve fans. Okay, because Atlanta allows fans, and fans will be in attendance. And you just saw the Super Bowl how a fan very easily got on the field and was running around.
Big streaker, bro.
We didn't really get into the players, but a football field is 100 yards.
Right, just run it, bro.
If you start on any point on the basketball court, if you run for 5 seconds, you go run into a basketball player. Like the court is not that big. So I don't think from a COVID conscious standpoint that it's a very smart decision to have an All-Star game and then include fans, because obviously having basketball games, if you can control the basketball game, then obviously you can control the athletes and the All-Stars that will go to the All-Star game, because you have a handle on that. It's the fans I don't know if you have a handle on. And they had fans courtside at the Atlanta Hawks game with the LeBron interaction. So they can get pretty close. That lady also pulled down her mask. Of course, the players were far enough that time where it's not really a big decision, big deal. But it's possible. The point is it's possible. And I also just think from a player perspective, I was surprised when the NBA PA signed off on it, because you're playing, for a lot of guys, the All-Star break is the longest break you get in your season.
Right.
That's your break, because you're off they give you the actual weekend and then you get a couple days.
Yeah.
And so obviously you mentioned LeBron and the Lakers having such a short offseason, it was like 70 days. So they're looking forward to some rest, finally having 5 days without having to practice or play a game.
Right.
I also think guys aren't looking forward to, because it's time that they don't get to spend with
family-wise
or friends-wise or whatever the case may be, because these guys have to follow these rules and these guidelines, and obviously the world isn't the way it used to be, so they don't get to spend their free time as they used to. So these guys are really just doing what they do to work, which is practicing and hooping and playing basketball, and so if that's all you can do is practice and all you can do is play. If they're telling you, you can get 5 days to wake up when you want, do whatever you want. I mean, the league has relaxed their marijuana policy now, so if you want to get you can do that. You know what I'm saying? So
can be very broad. Yeah.
Of course, players are looking forward to a few days off. You're talking about guys who spend this much time on the road. They're still on the road. You got the mental wear down, you got the physical wear down, the emotional wear down. Like there's a lot of stuff that these players are going through, and we're all going through as a society. But they're still sent out every day, play in front of everyone, and held to this standard where they have to be great every night.
Right.
When do they get a break? So, and I understand that the All-Star game and all that stuff is supposed to be fun. It usually is fun for the players because they're in front of a packed out arena. You're winning money for charity, like all that. But there's half that. The allure to an All-Star game is to have the celebrities in the stands, to have the regular fans in the stands, to have the kids, to be able to walk up, for a player to finish the game and sign autographs and all that. Like the All-Star weekend is like a really interactive thing. And
for the fans.
I don't think we really need it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand there's money to be made from it, but like what is the real risk reward ratio? Like what is the reward for having an All-Star game? Okay, you get a couple great moments that go on YouTube, or a couple things you can use
financial obligations for charity and stuff. Yeah, but
what do the players get? Players don't get nothing. I mean, they make millions of dollars. Who cares if I make the next $25,000 hooping in the 3-point contest, bro? I don't care about that. Like that's not really real money to me. I don't care if I win $25,000 from the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. Like that's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
nobody cares about that at the end of the day.
If it's going to someone else, but I get that for just playing a game check, bro. Like that's not money to me.
Right.
So and if the fans aren't there to experience it, then what am I doing it for? I mean, you don't really. I mean, you get paid more in a contract if you're the All-Star Game MVP, but if you're the All-Star Game MVP, then you're an All-Star, which means you probably get paid the same because nobody really cares about that award. Like, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, you can just name me an All-Star. I don't have to play an All-Star game to be an All-Star.
Right.
I understand what I think it was Darren Fox was saying about how it was just stupid. I think it is stupid, but I was listening to a talk show, and I'm pretty sure I forget who it was, if it was Skip or it was Max. It was one of the two. Talking about how LeBron was saying how he wasn't really vibing with the All-Star game, but LeBron is like the vice president of the basketball association and
players association.
So you wouldn't be surprised by the decision because your best friend would have told you, like, yo, we finna sign this to agree to. So I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe there's a miscommunication there, or there's some kind of backdoor dealing going on to make sure that this game happens. Because I don't really know if the players as a whole really are really up to it. I mean, I don't think it really piques their interest like that at this point.
Yeah, and I feel like too with the season being so shortened, you only get a certain amount of gap time. Teams are playing back-to-backs. That's one thing we got to think about. You got these back-to-back games. You got to travel already, and then you get time away from your family. Usually on an All-Star break, these players, these athletes, they get time with their family. They get to spend time with their loved ones, obviously, and then you just get to relax and enjoy themselves and just be around the stars of the league. But right now, especially with everything going on in society with COVID, and I mean, we're kind of scaling down. But at the same time, still, you want to care about the safety and integrity of your players that you have, because you don't want to hurt and cripple that relationship with the league reps and stuff, because all it's going to create is more discord and more uncertainty among players about their trust level with their owners and with leadership. So I just believe that, I mean, March 7th, I mean, it's a month from now. But at the same time, I feel like Adam Silver and those guys, they need to try to figure out something else, or kind of like how, the NFL, they did that Pro Bowl thing, but they did it virtual, like on the game. Maybe you could do something like that. But I think the thing that they're worried about, and I was reading into it a little bit, they're worried about the financial obligations that they made in the contractual agreements that they have with, Turner Network. So with Turner Network, they get the All-Star game, and then ESPN always gets, the finals. So you already know, no question, hopefully, God's will, we get a finals, we get the playoffs, we get all that stuff. So we have that right. They have those rights. But Turner Network Television, like, what their issue is okay, if we don't get an All-Star game, we don't get no money. So, I mean, it's kind of like a limbo that you have to play. But at the same time, though, you kind of have to care about your players, I feel like, more importantly, because, I mean, if something happens, bro, and I mean, I'm not trying to wish no bad, but it just creates a bad problem. It creates a bad problem for, the league, first and foremost, the teams, and then for Adam Silver as a whole, and that who's the commissioner of the league. So, I mean, it's kind of an ongoing issue. Another segue into our next topic, though, I was looking at with the Dallas Mavericks, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, with them not playing the national anthem anymore. Like, how do you feel about that with Mark Cuban's statements?
Me personally, I'm just going to go take my personal stance on this. For me, the national anthem and like the Pledge of Allegiance, those songs that are staples in, I guess, what America is and what we stand for. I don't really find them to be songs that I identify with. I can remember being probably in third or fourth grade at this little school, Horizon, and we would sing the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would remember, like, even just I don't even know why I would substitute the word the country Nigeria into the United States for every line, and I wouldn't say the United States as a kid.
Right.
I don't know why, but as I grew up, and it's like, okay, the more of these things, I'm like, okay, freedom and liberty and justice for all, and it's like, all right, these things that we're singing, that we're all saying identify and are properties of the U.S. or what U.S. stands for, and it is in the Pledge of Allegiance and is in the national anthem, like, not really true. You know what I mean? They weren't true when they were created. They haven't been true throughout the years they've been sung, and they're still not true because the lyrics haven't been taken to heart and applied correctly. So
sure.
If you ask me, I don't think that there needs to be a what's it called? An acknowledgement or a symbol for the United States in everything we do. Nobody asked, I mean, I get that, we want to show support and love for our country. But I don't think that you need to be required to do so. It's your choice. It's freedom of expression. It's a freedom of speech. You're free to do things in this country. So if before the game you don't want to play the national anthem, I don't see why that's a problem. I think there are many things that people don't play the national anthem for. I mean,
right.
For example, like major, like okay, that's a major thing that people watch, right? So we all do the national anthem for sports. So shows like The Voice, singing shows, hundreds of people watching. Are they going to do the national anthem before that? No. My question is then why? Is why? Okay. Do they do the national anthem before the Oscars or the Grammys? And to my knowledge, no.
Yeah.
So my question is, well, then why? Well, then if you don't do it, then
why
is such a big deal in sports? Like, why did that happen? Why is that like it's part of the religion and you must do this? Like, why is it this one unwritten thing? And so I don't mind when people ask questions and say, I'm, for whatever reason, I'm choosing to not do this, because you do have the reason to choose to not do this. If your action is not hurting someone, if your action is not endangering someone, if it's not threatening someone, well, then what are you doing? If you're just upset because I'm choosing to do something and you don't like it, that's not really a problem. That doesn't exist. It's not a problem. That's just your own world where you've created something that you have an issue with and you're taking it personal. But that's not a problem. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with what Mark Cuban's doing. He's not a stranger to controversy. I'm curious to see what the NBA says as a result, whether or not they flex their power and force them to do it, because I feel like that's going to also be very controversial, especially because the NBA has been growing exponentially throughout the past few years, and it's even like I think it's now the top league in America as far as views. So I'm curious to see how people, of all ethnicities react to that, to that viewpoint and to that stance, and see how that spreads between other teams, and see what owners also share those views, and see how that's affected. Because obviously we said they haven't played the song in the 16 or so games they played this year, and the preseason games. My thing is also is nobody said anything until this point. None of the players who play on the other teams have mentioned it. None of the players who played on the Mavericks, none of the coaching staff. Like, no one said anything. The season's been going on for weeks now. And if they haven't played this song at all, and it's a standard thing in every game, someone would have noticed it the first game they didn't play it.
That's
my question is, if no one said anything, is that because they're all in support of it, or because they don't care and it's none of their business? Because if someone had a problem with it, people that have a problem with it be quick to speak out. You know, if this was the NFL, someone would have been like, "Hey, they didn't play the song before the game. I'm not rocking with that. Did it X, Y." But none of these guys said anything. So my thing is, okay, well, then is everybody cool with it not being played? Because if the players don't care, then who else matters then? Because the players are the ones who put on the show. Like if the players don't rock with it and they say they don't want to be there, what are you gonna do? You gonna tell them to kick rocks? No, because you got, just like you mentioned before, your contractual obligations to your TV companies and all those other things. Yeah. You have to put a show on TV because you owe that money. So I think the NBA is obviously the sport where players have understood that they have the power to make their own path and call their own shots. And what is the new term for owners in the NBA? What do they call themselves now? They have a new PC term. It's not as offensive. Is it president? Yeah, president.
Yeah, like a president. Yeah, like a president or CEO, something like that. Yeah, executive.
If the team president wants to remove something from what the team does, so be it.
Yeah, and the thing too, it's the change in society that we're in now. We look at these topics and liberty and justice for all. We think of like those movements that why the NBA stopped. With Jacob Blake and the shooting and with the Milwaukee Bucks and the situation that they stopped playing. And these players stood up and stood for that change. Like, we're not going to play unless we say something. This is for our platform. This is for our team. This is for our standard, that we're moved by this and we want to make an impact that will be drastic and lasting. So I believe that Mark Cuban, in a statement, in an interview with, I think it was Outside the Lines on ESPN, he was saying, like, from 2017 on up, as of recent, we've seen a drastic change in, society, social issues, stuff like that. And it's for this aspect to have minorities and those lower level, like, deprived people at times feel more or less, like that they're more important and they're impactful. We don't need to, like you said, we don't need the national anthem to describe and to determine the fate of a game. Yes, we all that watch the game are American, but we still have people overseas that come from different countries. It's a wide variety topic. It's not something that we just, we watch the game and then we're just like, oh, okay, this is for America. This is America's game. Yeah, it's America's sport. It's an American thing that we do. It's a tradition. It's a ritual. It's a thing. But we're starting to see in other sports too. The Washington Redskins, prior name, they changed their name. The Washington football team, we don't know what their new name is going to be, but they're changing their name. Cleveland Indians are going to change their name from the Cleveland Indians to something else. So, like, it's just a societal factor that we're going in. It's kind of like a sucky thing that we're going in, but at the same time, it's making people more aware. And we're not trying to deter the fact of sports and politics, society, whatever. But at the same time, it's important that these matters are made and that they're known. It shows our owners care. It shows our owners, they're trying to embrace change. It's not all owners are, they care about those certain issues, those topics, but the proactive ones, the Mark Cubans, and you got your certain GMs like, that care and that they want to see the success of their players. They want to show that they care. Jeannie Buss, guys, like women like that, like they want to show their appreciation and their loyalty to their players rather than just, oh, it's just about us making money, paying these people, allowing fans to see what they want to see. And not saying we get our money, we go about our day. No, we care. They want to show that impact. And I feel like that's very, empathetic and it's very humbling because, Mark Cuban doesn't have to worry about nothing in this world. The man's paid for life. But at the same time, though, he cares. And so him showing that, it just shows great impact.
I think it also, but just to note, it also shows growth, though.
Because for sure, most definitely.
Reading the article, and Mark Cuban was of the stance and of the mindset back in 2017 that, when the anthem comes on, the players, should be standing. That's just
right.
And now we're not saying that people can't make mistakes or can't have a different mindset and change their mindset. But from now to then, obviously, you can see how through other actions and through life and then through enlightenment and talking to people, you can get a whole new perspective, and you can look back and say that old perspective wasn't correct, wasn't accurate, and you can get to this point. So I think it's definitely important, if you're in a position of power to use your voice. Because Mark Cuban has a voice. You have a team. You have a platform, and create the change that you want to see. And so if that's something that he feels was that needed to be addressed, I had never heard someone else address it. So it's original, and I think it'll probably bring up some good discussion. And I think that's the good thing about this time and era of the world and of basketball is that people aren't afraid of discussion. It's awkward. Yes, it's not very comforting. Yes, it can be weird. But that's where growth comes from. That's where we grow as a sport, we grow as a country, grow as people. It's through having these kind of discussions about things and making change on things that have currently existed, because everything can't always remain as is. Things have to change. And just because some things you are fond of doesn't mean they don't need to change. So I mean, and everything is always going to have two sides to an opinion. Nothing's ever going to change. So I'm sure this is going to play out. I don't know how bad it's going to play out as far as the mainstream media and talk shows and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA and the commissioner's office respond as far as what they want to do. Maybe making a league-wide mandate.
Yeah, for sure. Going into more player-related stuff. Derrick Rose is back on the New York Knicks. It's crazy. Looking at it, Derrick Rose is always finding his way back with Coach Thibodeau. Their relation goes way back to his time, back in Chicago, Minnesota, and then and it's just crazy to think like he's there again. How you feel about that for the state of both teams with Detroit and even New York?
Detroit is definitely going to miss the presence of D Rose on the team, veteran leadership, that ball handling ability, and everything that he brought to the table. And the Knicks are going to reap that and benefit from that. And I think that's going to be extremely beneficial for their younger players. It's going to take a lot of the load off of Julius Randle, who's been doing a lot as far as putting up the points and carrying them in that aspect. But just from the leadership perspective and veteran leadership, there are already reports of D Rose taking out quickly and topping out to dinner, gave him his phone number, said, "Look, I'm here to help mentor you guys, to teach you everything I know, to help progress the team further, make sure you guys, I'm going to be like your OG." And that was within a day of him getting traded there. So I think that's going to be great for the Knicks. All they had to give up was a second-round pick and Dennis Smith Jr., who they were already going to send down to the G League, who had requested to go to the G League because he wasn't getting any minutes in the rotation. The Knicks really didn't lose anything that they really valued, and they got a guy who they know who's been showing some phenomenal talent he still has, who can distribute, facilitate, run the offense, can give Julius Randle some help offensively, and can mentor the young guys. And I think this is a really good move for New York, considering their positioning in the East right now. And I think it could be a really good move as far as their positioning when the playoff picture is done.
Yeah, and I was looking too. Just today they played against Miami. Derrick Rose played 20 minutes. He had 14 points. He was 5 for 9 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 3 assists. His impact's already being made way better than Dennis Smith Jr., who wasn't even playing at all, wasn't getting no residual value at all. So it's good. I think him being with Emmanuel quickly now, it's gonna help bolster his game. It's gonna help him. And the worry was, okay, what's the projectile rate now for Emmanuel quickly? But you got to think mentorship. Derrick Rose came in. He's a vet now for this team. He's gonna teach them the ways, show them the ropes, defense, all that stuff, the principles of attacking the rack, creating your own midi, 3-point shot, which has improved drastically this year. I believe he's shooting 36.3%. Yeah, it's 36.3% as of today. So, I mean, it's good growth. It's good growth for, I feel like, the New York Knicks, because they did need a point guard rather than, a closer-wise rather than Elfrid Payton. I mean, no disrespect to Elfrid Payton, but you'd rather have Derrick Rose on the court, and then it's going to elevate that logjam contribution, because now you have a logjam. You got, Elfrid, Derrick, Emmanuel, Austin Rivers is there. It's just a bunch of guards, but it's going to bring out competition. The drafting of Obi Toppin increased the elevation rise in the surge we see in Julius Randle's game. Julius Randle saw that, okay, Obi Toppin's here. Oh, I got to ball out. I got to show that I can be a consistent night on, night out.
He was balling out last year, though, to be fair. Before they even drafted Julius was doing it last year. So
that's true.
But I'm sure Obi getting drafted definitely was like, whoa, I got to make sure my spot is secure.
It's a wake-up call.
Starting spot. Yeah, but, Julius is a baller, bro. He definitely should make the All-Star team here. He doesn't. That's a clear snub, if you ask me. He's putting up the stats, and that's what All-Stars are about, man. So that's who an All-Star should be. It's not about the name, it's about who's playing good. So
for sure. Do you see now with the Derrick Rose edition? Do you see that like as them elevating up a little bit for this playoff push that they're trying to get on?
I think that he definitely adds another element to their guard play, and can alleviate the pressure that's put on Payton to be. I don't know what you're expecting Elfrid Payton to be exactly, but to be
I know.
Whatever that is. As
I get you.
Starting guard or one or two. So I think it definitely creates a rotation. That Tibbs likes to run his guys, so. At least not another guy in the rotation who can take minutes, and can sort of lighten the load on the guards, because it's a long season. I don't see it making that big a difference as far as their overall standings in the playoffs. Let's see if I still have my list that we made before the season started about playoff prediction. I don't have it anyway. I don't remember if I had them in the playoffs to begin with.
We slept. We were sleeping on them for sure.
Yeah, if I didn't, then I'm sorry I slept on them. Probably I don't expect much from them though. Still, probably no higher than the 5th seed if you ask me. Probably somewhere in that 6 to 8 range if they make the playoffs. But it's a long season, so we'll see how they last.
Yeah, for sure, and. Only time will tell. If the team's healthy, and I feel like that's the major question too, because RJ Barrett's been playing pretty promising. We already know like the projectile with Julius Randle, like he's potentially all-star this year. So I think they're in a good route. They're in a good rate with Quickly, and then too with Obi Toppin. Those guys are developing still, and you got Mitchell Robinson still. So that team's looking pretty good for now. It's a matter of how long is it going to last, or if it's going to keep going. Lamelo Ball, man, he's been hooping. He's been balling out. He's been starting, I think, the past 5 or 6 games. He's been playing like a lock for Rookie of the Year so far. How you feel about him?
I'm really, really happy to see Lamelo Ball playing the way he's been playing. I'm glad that he's finally able to start. I know he wasn't able to start most of the season because there were guys starting ahead of him.
You're right.
Devontae Graham was starting ahead of him. But LaMelo Ball is really just showing exactly what he's always shown. Showing the ability and the decisiveness that his brother Lonzo doesn't have. Lonzo, I saw on Twitter yesterday, it was something about Lonzo being a traditional guard and LaMelo being more of a point guard. And Lonzo is a traditional guard who, no matter what, will pass up a look to set someone else up, versus a point guard knowing how to find the rhythm, when to set people up, when to take their own look, and having that natural ink. And I think niche, and I think that's the difference between the two of them. LaMelo obviously is capable of dishing the ball. You could argue that he's a better passer than his brother. I wouldn't hold you for making the argument. But at his size, he still does a good job of getting boards. He's averaging 6 boards a game, and still averaging 6 assists a game, while averaging 14 points.
14
and that's
game,
going to continue to go up now that he's starting. We've already seen the recent outbursts with 34 points versus Utah, 24 versus Houston last night, 19 versus Washington the game before that, and then 22 versus Philly. So, not really worried about the points for him from his perspective. Definitely a much better free throw shooter than his brother. By far, he's shooting about 79% from the free throw line this year. 36% from three isn't as great, but that's a rookie player. We're not holding this first year in the league, so it's not like we're expecting like greatness from him or perfection.
I'm just saying, got 6 in the Eastern Conference right now too.
But I'm just saying, rookie of the year. I think that most people already believe that Lamelo Ball would win Rookie of the Year unless he didn't play well, just because Rookie of the Year can have a little bit of bias based on who has the most hype and who is the most marketable guy. Back with the Ben Simmons and Mitchell thing.
Oh yeah, Donovan. Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
We still argue about who should have won that. I mean, most of us believe Donovan Mitchell should have won it.
Mitch, yeah, no question. Yeah.
So I think that he still has some good competition as far as going for Rookie of the Year. But as far as players who are starting for their team or making an impact, I think Lamelo Ball is definitely having the biggest impact. Actually, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say by far. You definitely have dudes like Quickly who are making a good impact on their team.
Tyrese.
Yep, is doing his thing. Even Wiseman, Curry's got Wiseman playing well. Anthony Edwards is just playing good because he's playing in Minnesota and there isn't Jack up there, but him, Cat, and D'Lo.
So yeah, he's just getting his buckets.
On the roster, but those three, so of course he's playing good. It's just him ISO balling all the time. Anyway. But I think it's a team perspective and winning. Charlotte did a really good job picking up LaMelo, and I'm really happy with their selection of Gordon Hayward. I'm really happy that he's showing that he can still has possible all-star level status play in him. We haven't seen that in Gordon Hayward since Utah. He was like that in Utah, and we expected to see a lot more of that once he got to Boston. Unfortunately, injuries and rotation didn't allow us to see that. But I'm glad that he's showing that he still has it in him, because I was really concerned about that contract when they offered it to him.
I thought he was overpaid
recently to be like, I don't know if Gordon's worth that. But he definitely is providing that veteran leadership for that team, and providing, is definitely leading scorer, providing the buckets and carrying that team. So I can see them definitely being a thorn in somebody's side. Come late towards the end of the season when the playoff race gets a little tight, because I can see it getting a little tight this year in the East. I know it's all for sure. It's gonna be a little congested in the East. I think maybe like 2 or 3 teams might be fighting for that 8th spot or so. We'll be within a 2-3 game gap of that 8th spot. So it should be interesting. Charlotte could be in that mix.
Yeah, because I mean, Toronto just moved up to 8. They're 11-13 right now. You got the Knicks at 9. Miami Heat at 10, and then you got Cleveland trying to swim in there. They're 10-15 right now. They're ranked 11. So I mean, it's going to get tight. And then we can't forget about teams. The Magic. They always find a way in. We talked about that weeks back. Yeah, they'll find a way in. Hopefully. I mean, we never know. So I mean, there's competition in the East now. I mean, we always used to look at the East. We always be like, it's kind of a weak conference. All it's ran by is LeBron, and I mean Toronto when they were on their surge. Kyle Lowry and DeMar and the year Kawhi won the championship. But besides that, though, I mean, the Sixers they're solid. Bucks, Celtics. I mean, we got the Nets. I mean, I'm kind of surprised with their record. I mean, they're 14-12. But I mean, like you said, Kevin Durant's not playing, and so there's other factors adjusting and gelling and stuff. So, I feel like this Hornets team has a promising future, though. I mean, you get LaMelo Ball. He's one of the best draft picks in recent years that they've made, besides Kemba Walker, obviously. But Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. We talk about Zeller, Kaminsky, those guys. Like it's like a type of thing because like they're contributors, and not, besides Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, kind of, but like they're contributors. I mean, Kaminsky's in the Suns; he's doing good, performing, but like as an overall playmaker and player that can shift and jump a franchise. Prior to Kemba Walker, he's done his job and he's been doing his role. And I mean, like you said, the more games he starts, I feel like his game is going to continue to expand until a point where he has way more leeway and leverage. I mean, they got Terry Rozier and Devontae and then Graham, so they're solely relying on those two guys in the beginning. But I feel like the coach has given them more trust, and the projectile for guys like Miles Bridges, he's really good too. Malik Monk, he's on the bench. He's a producer too. He can shoot the three. He can get to the rack, finish at the rim. Like they got that team. I feel like the one thing that I feel like they need they're solid, but I feel like they need a center like Drummond, bro. Like I feel like if they get a guy like that, it will be a big that team is just gonna, pop up out of nowhere. No, Biyombo's not the guy. Zeller's the work guy. He's the blue collar guy. He'll do his job and he'll go to work. But at the same time, though, I'm talking like to be like a dominant force inside of there with PJ Washington, I think it would be very helpful and stuff, So hopefully we'll see where it leads. Another guy that's been like very intriguing before we wrap up the show is Darren Fox. He just recently won Western Conference Player of the Week. Went 5-0. He's been he averaged 31 in that series, that 5-game winning streak that they're on. How you feel about his game? He's averaging, I believe, 23 points right now, which is really good for his career so far.
I think that Darren Fox is just taking another leap this year.
For sure.
He's really kind of earning the contract that he was given. Obviously, we know he signed that 5-year, $163 million extension. Deal. And I think that he was eager in a lot of ways to come out and just prove to people that he's worth the money. I think that a lot of people don't watch Darren Fox because they don't watch Kings basketball
or Luke Walton.
Because the Kings have always sucked, and Luke Walton is not the greatest coach. The point is that the Kings are what the Kings always are. But they have a really bright spot, and it's this Darren Fox, and they've won a good. They're 12-12 now, which is unfortunate. They won the last four of their last five. And he is obviously a major part of that. I think that the thing about Darren Fox is he just has this natural athleticism to him and speed that just it catches people off guard, even though it's coming. You're aware that he's fast, he has it in him, but it's just something about when he puts his foot down and turns that corner, he's just gone. He's shooting great from the field, 48% from the field right now. And 36% from three.
Big jump in his game. He never used to shoot threes like that.
I would say that he would probably be an all-star candidate if he was not in the Western Conference. Unfortunately, and it just gets too deep at that point guard spot. Even his turnover rate, like 3.2 turnovers. But his assist turnover ratio is 2 turnovers, is 2 to 1. So it's still good, it's still pretty good. It's a shame that he doesn't have a lot of help on that team, even though they got some solid scoring from Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Bags, and then Halliburton. But I think that Sacramento team, because they've now got a certified, guaranteed kind of all-star level point guard, that they got to start thinking big, and they got to start making moves and calling people and figuring out if they're going to go up to somebody in free agency or go make a trade this year. Because you can't waste a guy like that's career. The Kings don't get players like that often to choose to come there young in your career. You don't want to waste it, especially in this player-friendly league now where guys are more happy than ever to go play with their friends. You see it obviously in Brooklyn. We've seen with LeBron and the Heat. We've seen it with KD, with the Warriors. Players want to hang out. We've seen it with Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo. Guys want to play with their friends. Sometimes you can't win a championship every year because only one team can win. But I might as well play with my friend while I'm in the league, So I don't know, figure out who Darren Fox is friends with and get them on the team. Like, what will happen? Because the Kings need to start competing, bro, or otherwise they need to go somewhere else. Like, Sacramento deserves something. That town,
for sure.
that town has nothing, and for them to have a basketball team and their basketball team to also consistently be nothing, it's not fair, bro. It's just not fair, and they need to get it together. They got a nice renovated stadium and everything, bro, and they just never do anything. It's just they're just perpetuating the state of mediocrity. It's like so. I think that De'Aaron Fox is that life that they're finally getting in that franchise. They need to capitalize it. They hop on it and capitalize it because that guy is a dog, and all being God willing, he stays healthy. He's gonna be a beast for years to come. He's gonna give a lot of guards help. He be giving guards help because a lot of especially when he switches on to the two guards, a lot of these slower two guards that can't really keep up with them, he just be cooking them.
He'd be blowing right past them.
Yep.
Yeah. So and that's the thing with that team. Bagley's healthy finally. I mean, he's averaging 12 points around that area right now. But yeah, like you said, they need to make moves. I feel like that would put him in a complimentary space where he's more, happy with the team he has. I mean, Buddy Hield, like he's still scoring and he's still knocking down his shots. But at the same time, the worry and the issue is, does he really want to be there? Because, I mean, at one point he was in trade talks. He was rambling around like, oh, okay, like if I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, I'm not. But I think that team just needs to go into a direction of, getting another star to tag team with him. I mean, Buddy Hield, yeah, he can score. Don't get me wrong. Harrison Barnes is a champion. And then you got guys like, Tyrese Halliburton that just came in as a rookie, creating instant impact. But at the same time, though, you need that complement piece, whether it could be a power forward at the 4, maybe like a Blake Griffin. I know his contract's big, but maybe something like that, or even a solid 5. I mean, Rashawn Holmes is a worker. He's a strong beast dog. But I feel like that team just needs to make one more big move in order to be in that playoff talk area, Because, I mean, they're sitting at a good spot. Those 500 teams, those teams a little bit below 500, 1 or 2 games, they're still in the race. It's the teams that are down low, like, single digits still went, and so far we're about 25 to 30 games in, whatever. It's important that you stay consistent in the West, like you said. We were talking last week, you were saying the West, it will eat you alive if you allow it to. So the defensive rate of that team is going up. I think that's just because they're kind of buying in now to how much potential that they're seeing out of their players. So if the team's bought in, they can make a run. But like with this team right now, they're not going to withstand for the next 5 years or whatever. So to try to compete for anything near close to even a second round entry. So I feel like though Darren Fox, I'm a big Kentucky fan. So like seeing him succeed, seeing all the Kentucky guys succeed in the league is always great for me. But especially him because he's really been well deserving of it. To wrap up the show though, Alex, thank you for being on with me again, man. Be sure you guys to like and subscribe to all of our content.
Before we go, I just want to one shout out. We all know I'm a big Suns fan in the building. We are the 4th seed in the West, 14-9. My boy D Book hung 36 on the Cavs just last night. We haven't talked about them in a few weeks because we've been too busy winning. I want to make sure people are tuned in and paying attention because we are the 4th in the West. I don't want to hear all that. I'm making the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. This is a new year. You can guarantee the playoffs, okay? We're already in the 4th seed right now, and we're not going no lower than the 6th seed, bro. I promise you that right now, okay?
I hope so.
So here we are. I just had to make sure everyone knows that we are, 4th in the West.
That's good. It's better than where y'all been before. I hope y'all don't fall off. I think y'all will be fine, though, for sure.
Man, the Lakers don't want to see us in the playoffs, man.
No, I really don't. I ain't gonna lie. Our health issues and stuff right now, man, it's ridiculous. I mean, LeBron's doing good. Yeah, but no, Books should be an all-star, no question. Hopefully, Chris Paul's, in my opinion, biggest impact, way bigger impact scoring wise and setting up his teammates. Like I said, like we talked prior episodes, they're confident right now. And Monty Williams is a good addition to the team and stuff. So I'll be rooting for y'all, Alex. I promise I do. I mean, just because I went to Grand Canyon don't mean I don't support y'all, bro. I promise, bro.
I know you do, bro. I know you do.
Yeah.
Making sure people know, you know what I'm saying? Making sure they're paying attention.
Yeah. I ain't sleep.
Report, not going to post it. ESPN not going to post it. CBS not going to post it.
That's true.
Skip not going to talk about it. Stephen A not going to talk about it. So I'm going to just make sure that somebody's talking about it.
Right. I feel you, my man. You guys be sure to like and subscribe to all of our content. Alex, you got a quote or anything to wrap us up with?
No, I don't have a quote per se for this week, but I'll just say this: if there's been something that you've been thinking about doing, thinking about getting started, or doing, just do it. You know, I know a lot of people are getting complacent right now due to COVID time. I too myself am feeling a lot struggling with a lot of complacency, not feeling a lot of motivation to do things because there's no really reward to things. You don't really get that reward. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get to go out and celebrate or go to the club or do things that make you feel happy for achieving things.
Right.
But this is the tough and nitty grind. A lot of us are young. We're in that stage in life where we need to start making career moves. So just remember that you only get one chance at things, and you gotta put your best foot forward and start making things that'll make sure that your future self will be happy with yourself when you look back on it. So figure out whatever you want to make that next move for this week, or make a plan and just start doing something.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's important, you guys, too. Make sure you value and that you appreciate the people you have in your life, whether it be your loved ones, your friends, whoever, your network, your connections that you have. Make sure you value those people and make sure that they know that you appreciate the support and the care that they show for you each and every day. Hope you guys have a blessed rest of the week, and we'll be back with you guys next week.